Segment is sponsored by USANA Kids Eat. We've said it before, no kid should ever go hungry. Thankfully, USANA Kids Eat is 100% dedicated to helping hungry kids in Utah get the food that they need. Michelle Benedict is the director there, and she joins us today. Welcome, Michelle. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here. USANA Kids Eat is an incredible program. Tell us all about it.
Well, we provide food for hungry kids in Utah. Basically, we're looking for those kids that are food insufficient at home. And most of the time they get their nutrition at school, and then on the weekends they're going home to empty cupboards. And so we're trying to provide those bags for them to take home and be able to feed themselves over the weekends.
It's amazing. Tell us what hunger looks like in Utah for kids.
You know, there were families that were hungry before the pandemic, and then of course the pandemic hit, and it made it even worse. It made it harder, and it feels like we're coming out of the pandemic, but in a lot of ways we're really not. And a really good story that kind of illustrates some of what these families are going through is that there was a young girl at one of the Boys and Girls Clubs, and she was caught stealing a can of SpaghettiOs. And when the workers caught her, they said, "Hey, you know, what's going on?" And she said, "Well, I really wanted to feed my little brother." And they said, they were concerned, you know, and they said, "Okay, well, how about we send some additional food home so you can feed your whole family?"
No kidding.
And she looked confused, and she said, "Well, parents don't eat."
What?
Yeah. And when
How
you
heartbreaking is that?
When you really think about that, it really illustrates that these families are making hard choices. Sometimes the parents are not eating so that the kids can. Sometimes they're having to choose between paying the electric bill and buying groceries.
Right.
And a lot of these families are still in that kind of a situation. They haven't quite pulled out of that yet. The pandemic is still very real for them in that way.
Interesting. You've probably seen so many stories just like that and so many more. I remember being there to sing at the big kickoff over there with Dr. Oz, and it was such a powerful moment. The programs you're doing, tell me a little bit more how Kids Eat, USANA Kids Eat works. How does that work for Utah families?
So we have our weekend program where we provide bags that the kids take home on the weekends. We have a holiday bag program where they take bags home that are much larger for the long holiday break.
Yeah.
This past year with COVID and the pandemic, we did a COVID relief program for some of these families. And we also provided a teacher relief program because the teachers, it has been a rough year, and the teachers were just pulling through and just really trying to get through the year, and so we provided teacher relief. And all in all, we ended up doing about 400,000 meals with all of those different programs.
Wow,
and
that's awesome.
We're ramping up again for fall. School will be starting again soon.
It's coming quick, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Utah community is always amazing when it comes to service. How can Utah help USANA Kids Eat more?
Yeah, you know, we couldn't have done all of this without the community. We rely on the community for donations.
Yeah.
That is what pays for the food that goes into the bags, of course, you know. So, you know, you can donate anytime on our website. It's really easy to get on there and do that. We're actually looking for volunteer delivery drivers right now. And these are people that would be going around and delivering the bags to the schools during the week. Usually it's a weekly commitment. And the people that do this for us, a lot of times they are retired or semi-retired. We have a husband and wife team that does it.
It's like a volunteer DoorDash, but for USANA Kids Eat.
It really
is.
So
the website is USANAKidsEat.org. And that's where you can go. You can sign up as a volunteer driver or any of the other events that you're putting on all the time.
Lots of ways you can get involved, and you can inquire about any of those on our website.
Okay.
But yeah, everything's just right there, USANAKidsEat.org.
Well, thank you to USANA, everybody, to Utah for all you're doing. Michelle, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me,
God bless you.